Welcome to Great Perspective Photography Tech Talk. Today we'll be talking about the latest cameras out from Canon and Nikon. Some good new mirrorless cameras, plus some lenses that go with those cameras. The host today will be myself, Dwayne Broven, Frank Tona, and Ron Lute. Should be informative. We will be recording this and posting it later. Sit back and enjoy.
Since we're here talk tech, I want to tell Frank what happened to this recently.
Uh-oh, what'd you do?
No, I just folded up.
Oh, okay.
I just took the props off. So a week or so ago, this one guy that does videos when there's new features come out, he said they updated the app, and one of the things that people were kind of not so happy was that, in the DJI Go 4 program, you could adjust the speed of your gimbal, how fast it moves, and they didn't have that on the Mavic Air 2. And then they just added that.
Oh, nice.
They added a couple other things I don't really remember, but the big thing was they came up with a firmware update this week.
Yeah. And
they've added a digital zoom.
What?
To the video, and then they on the obstacle avoidance, they made it so you can, instead of just brake, you can still brake, but you can have it so it'll automatically go around an object.
Nice.
They made it, this one doesn't have side sensors, but it has front and back. And they made it, you can turn off the ability to go sideways. So you have to turn to go, so you're, always, safe while you're flying like that.
That's a good idea.
That's pretty cool. And then last night they had an update to the zoom. It was just a little, zoom on the screen. Now they switched, they made it so you can hold the function button and turn the little gimbal dial on the controller for that zoom. The zoom is a 2x zoom for 4K and for 4K, not all the frames per second, but a couple of them. But if you're shooting in 1080p, it goes 4x digital zoom.
Wow.
It's some pretty cool features. So I'm pretty impressed that they're adding all the goodies.
Yeah. We watched on I think it's Netflix. There's is it Netflix or Hulu or something? I'll have to figure out where it's at. They have aerial shots of different cities, different states. So from California, they have all these shots of different parts of California, just like the shot behind you there. Mm-hmm. And they're really nice. And one of the things that you'll notice is that it's probably a 30-minute or maybe a 45-minute video while the guy is narrating, the different things of California. There is nothing on the screen longer than 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You got 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds, 5 seconds. You got to have a lot of video to put that together.
Yeah, well, I got one today from DJI. They every once in a while they'll send something. Somebody has they have a video. It's about a 3.5 minute video, but they said they spent 5 years accumulating the,
Yeah.
And it's like sense. That. That's you don't do more than a few seconds, but he's got all over the place. So it's pretty cool, and he's got not only a little bit of music, but he's got sound effects. Like when you see a waterfall, he's got
the waterfall sound.
You hear the waterfall. When he's got a car going, you hear a car. It's really well done.
Oh, cool.
But he said it's footage he's captured in 5 years of flying drones.
We're recording, so just be aware of that. And Ron's giving us a little bit about drones. Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, so I thought I was going to get some motion footage Sunday, but that ain't happening yet. I'll just tell them how the drone I bought, they have already they had a firmware update this week. They added digital zoom to the video. They, you know, added special features to the obstacle avoidance, so you can have it go around objects, and they've made it so you can pretty much set it up so you're not going to crash it. I mean, you still could crash it, but I mean, it makes it a lot harder by taking away the ability to fly sideways because they don't have sensors on the sides.
That's cool. That's way cool. Speaking of that, now I had something in my mind. I should have wrote it down. I forgot. I've forgotten. It'll come to me in a second.
All right.
I know what it was.
Okay.
The guy that came and helped us with our internet stuff at Crown before I left. What's the kid's name? He bought some Sony stuff from us, and he has a Mavic Air for sale for $550. I'm not sure if that's a good deal or not. I can't think of his name right this second.
Okay. Yeah. What version? That's
old school now.
Yeah, but I just didn't know if that price was a good price or not. For it's like new. I'm sure he has.
If it's like new, it's probably a good price.
Okay.
Yeah,
How much was that? I didn't get that.
Oh, it's a Mavic Air, which is a little bit older now. I mean, it's probably at least a couple, 2 or 3 years old, I'm thinking. But it's $500 from a guy that is actually a DJI tester. They send him equipment here in Reading, and he tests it and comments back on what he likes and doesn't like, and so on and so forth.
You know, as long as it's got the controller and at least a couple of batteries, it's probably.
Yeah. I can't think of his name. His
Kyle?
name is
Kyle?
No, not Kyle. He came in and helped us with our internet.
Yeah, there was a Kyle.
Yeah, I don't think it's Kyle. It's a young kid, runs his own company.
A pretty tall guy?
No, it would have been before I left. It was in the last 2017. Anyway, I'll find out who it is and post it so you guys can see.
So
go ahead.
Do any of you use shortcuts on your iPhone?
No, not really.
Depending.
I've never set them up.
I know we all have iPhone.
Most of
them. And this right here. Yeah, I've been using them. I have a couple set up for my naps. You know, I don't sleep much at night, so you know, I just say, "Hey Siri, nap time," and it throws on a timer and puts it into do not disturb mode. I also Dan and I've been playing some golf, and he had one GPS. I got this other one. I'm going to set it up. It's supposed to be able to be voice activated. So instead of having to pull my phone out of my pocket to see how far away I am, I'll just ask it, you know, how far to the hole. And
wow,
with the GPS.
That's cool.
But they have a whole on the shortcuts. If you, I can't remember if that was one of the native apps. If you ever are interested, they have a whole gallery, a whole bunch of stuff. There's a bunch on photography, morning routine, all kinds of different things.
Cool. Yeah, I'd be interested in that.
Where was that, Ron?
In the
Where
shortcuts. Can I take the screen and show you for a minute?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Do I need to do anything?
No, you know.
This is what's amazing with this thing, is that you can share these things.
Yeah.
Well, here's the shortcuts icon up here at the top.
Anyway, where is that? Where's the shortcuts at?
There's one at the top, and I can't, I'm not positive. It may be one you have to load. I'm kind of thinking it was a native app, but I may be wrong.
Okay.
But anyway,
I didn't bring my iPhone.
I've got a few in here, but over on the right on the bottom, it's got the gallery, and it just has all kinds of ones. Morning routine. if you've got, you know, most of us are not working, you know, all busy all the time, but it has ones that you can, it tell you when you need to leave, you know, knowing where you're going. And the featured, they got washing hands music. You know, they've got a lot of different ones. There's a whole section on photography. Where was this taken? Time machine, photo grid, bunch of things you can do. But you know, you can. And then I found there's lots of videos on YouTube with people showing you how to, you know, ones they've done.
I'll have to look that up.
So
Ron,
yeah.
Ron, is that like you if you scroll, you know, to the right, you know, where you would find a shortcut, it's one you would click on, right? Like,
well, when you do scroll, yeah, there's two ways to do it. When you scroll to the right here, there's, if you know that screen, there's a shortcut screen at the bottom. Of course, you can move it. You can put it. I could put it at the top. You can do one of your, you know, tap there and do one of your shortcuts, or the way I like to have mine set up is I set it up for Siri. If you ask, you know, hey Siri, and do one of these. Yeah.
And just like that, Siri
do
comes
that.
up.
yeah, me and Siri doesn't get along too well. She doesn't always listen to me.
Every once in a while, when I'm watching TV, last night somebody said something about say hey sir, and my phone caught that.
Well, I did.
Yeah.
But
When I
anyway,
scrolled-
you can do it with those shortcut buttons, or you can do it, you know, set it up with Siri. So
I just scrolled to the right, and then there's a search bar like what you're showing at the top of your screen. But it wasn't under shortcut. It was just a regular a search. And when I typed in shortcut, then I clicked on that. It said I had no shortcuts, but it also said it was on the iCloud. Is that true? Is that where your shortcuts are saved on the cloud?
well, you might have the app up there. So let me look real quick.
Okay, so Ron, is it shortcuts utilities or
So it's yeah, see, it's an app.
It's an app.
Just go to the App Store and, you know, search for that. But it's pretty amazing. There's a lot to be done with that. So I mean,
Yeah, I like
think
that
I
idea.
already-
and you know, if you've ever done any programming, I have, but it's like that was a long time ago. My mind doesn't remember too much of that. But anyway, it's pretty cool, I think. You know, and I need to do more. I want to set up this new golf GPS thing, and so, you know, because right now, once in a while, I pull the phone up and I've got to do it, but you can set up this GPS app to, you know, go, you know, give it to you by voice, and you can do that with a lot of different programs. And anyway, I think it's worth looking into if you like automation.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea.
These phones are just so just so much they do.
So did you find anything, you know, I've heard a couple rumors about the A12, the Apple 12. Did you find anything definitive, Ron, or is it still kind of in the...
Well, I was looking at some of these rumors. I think this one here, I'll show you real quick, is probably, you know, there's kind of like, is it the, you know, is it a, these, you know, showing the back with 4 things, is it 4 lenses, or is it a, one of them is, I guess they're saying it's going to have a LiDAR scanner.
Yeah.
What's
a LiDAR, I wonder?
Well, you know, your radar, LiDAR, but it's going to make, you know, make a lot more accurate when, you know, you go to take a picture as far as how the distance and stuff.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
LiDAR
it's like the
is also-
autofocus.
Yeah, LiDAR is also used for measurement. So you have it already on your iPhone. It's used if you I think if you type in LiDAR, you can actually, or if you use a measuring app, it can use LiDAR to measure, the dimensions of your dresser. I was in bed the other day and did that whole LiDAR thing, and it measured my whole room for me.
Yeah, there's apps. I know there's some apps that'll do floor plans for you, and I'm sure that's what they're using on the phone. Anyway,
well,
it's
15 inches between Ron and Frank.
Wow, boy, the electronic, the digital age sure does shorten distances.
That's amazing. Anything else on it?
So, it's all I know is I'm planning to probably upgrade since I have the 10. I like the idea of at least the 3 lenses.
Yeah, now is it true that it's supposed to have a
seeing what
processor?
After all the stuff Dan showed us when we had the meeting when we were at.
I know that was fun. We'll have to do that again.
That of course recently I could have bought could buy an iPhone 11 for a lot cheaper, but I want to wait till the 12.
If I was in the market, I would wait and get the latest, because it's like mine was the latest 11 months ago, and now it's going to be a has-been.
And they're talking about September, so I don't know if it's going to actually happen.
Yeah, they're saying it's going to be a later date than normal.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the change is going to be that dramatic that we were going to wish we would waited. Personally.
Oh
no. For you with the 11. I don't think you're going to want to update it. But for me with the 10, I only have 2 lenses. I like that idea. And especially with the real estate that I do, that wide angle, it's got, I have one of those, the Osmo, the gimbal, I had it when we were doing the portrait stuff.
Right.
I was walking around with my phone. If I had the wide angle, that would really be useful when I'm doing, home videos, because like the one you did, Dan. Because when I've done a couple with my iPhone 10, the widest it gets is really not as wide as I'd like. It would be better to have a wider lens. So I definitely like the idea of having that wide angle lens to go with the other 2.
Well, what's really good with the 11, and I think the 12 is even supposed to have a better one, is the processor. It's a world of difference processor between anything earlier than the 11. And another rumor I heard, which is probably not a rumor, it makes sense, is that the 12 will have 5G. I think Dan and I were talking about that yesterday. And I don't know if that's important or not, but it is something for the future.
Well, some people think it'll make us all zombies, I think, or something.
Well, look what happened to me, and I'm on 4G.
But,
okay.
They're the same ones that think that the coronavirus vaccine is being made by Bill Gates so they can put a tracking chip in all of us. I think what.
Okay,
so if you use a bank and if you have a smartphone, they already know everything. They don't need a chip.
Probably your phone and your new camera. Okay, so it doesn't look like we're going to have a whole lot of people. So let me do my dog and pony show about the new Canons.
Sure.
Okay.
And then we'll have Frank and Mr. Comet Man talk about Nikons. Let's see. Okay, so is it shared now? Do you see it? R5?
Yep.
The R5 that should have been the R, but they cheaped out, and the R5, which is really interesting, the specs and all. I would love to know somebody who actually has had one that we know, and they could talk about it.
This is the latest one.
Oh yeah, this is the R5, and the specs are really interesting. If I can get the specs to show up. Okay, there we are. Okay, so the price, that's not too interesting, you know, almost $4,000. But for what you're getting, it's right in the ballpark. It's cheaper than the Sony, you know, that was out, that was $4,400, the A9, which we don't hear much about. And this can take almost as good a fast photos. It's just released. Some people are getting it. Doesn't say it's on back order at B&H, but you know, I don't know. Okay, so this is where the whole change came. And what's curious is it's a 45 megabit full frame sensor. Accidentally has really close specs to the Z7 and the D850. Really interesting how they're really close. And from the reviews I've seen and heard, that it is finally, Canon is woken up with their resolution, with their image quality, and dynamic range. And this is now head to head and pretty similar, at least to the D850, which Harvey and I, and probably Frank will agree, was one of the best cameras when it came out. I mean, there was nothing really to touch it. And this comes in really close now. It'd be interesting to hear real world though. Again, RF mount, and as I told people before, only buy an RF mount, Z mount camera, because those are the lenses that'll come out. And Nikon, Canon, they just keep coming out with more and more mounts, lenses for that mount.
So if you purchase, Dwayne, question?
Yeah.
So my old lenses would not work on this camera.
Yes, they would, with an adapter.
And what would the adapter change?
Nothing. Nothing except for maybe a little of the added functionality of the new lens, so you would know that you don't have it with the old lens. And I'll go over some of the lenses that are coming out that are kind of amazing. And but no, there's supposedly no detriment. Although I have to admit, last year I rented an R, and they didn't have the RF lens to rent with it, so I used my 2470 Canon, you know, L 2.8. I wasn't all that happy with the photos, and then I showed them to Harvey, and Harvey goes, well, you know, to get the most out of that camera, you really need the RF lenses. But no, you could use all your lenses, no problem. Same thing with the Nikon. You can get an adapter for their Z mount and go to their AFS mount, or whatever they call it.
I just hope that the Canon stays with that, you know, the same mount for a number of years, because all along, you know, we've always gone with, okay, you know, buy lenses because cameras changes, so invest your money in good lenses, and then next thing you know, now they aren't so good anymore.
Yeah, well, maybe Frank. Yeah, maybe Frank can answer this one. Oh, not to age you or anything, but you know, when did, because Canon and Nikon both changed their mounts. What was it, in the late 70s, early 80s?
Yeah, late 70s, early 80s. Nikon came out.
That, you know, when the electronic stuff started coming in, and so it happens. If you look at the addition, though, especially the difference in the Nikon with the Z and the old Nikon mount, it is just staggering. For the Canon, it's just a little larger, but where the Canon, if you notice in that camera, all those little connections there, and those connections all allow the lens to talk to the camera and whatnot. Okay, go ahead.
Dwayne, Tom Thomas, he's always you know, he's left Canon. He's always been very very upset with Canon because they're like the last one that always has the anti-aliasing filter. Do they still have that on this one?
Yeah, you know, it does have the anti-alias, and I don't think you can quote disconnect it, but there is an advantage to the anti-aliasing. And I don't know in your architecture, but I experienced it when I did architectural photography, especially with Venetian blinds on this one hotel. I mean, they all did look like rainbows, and had to wait till later on in the day to take the photo. And I didn't know what was causing that, but you know, anti-aliasing probably. So, but everybody I've heard, it doesn't sound like it is having any problem with its resolution, or again, they're saying it's pretty similar. Okay, so 12 frames per second mechanical, that's unbelievable, and 20 in electronic. And
you know, how they, you know, what's happening in electronic is they're just moving the mirror up and taking pictures electronically without having anything mechanical move in front of the sensor. It just turns the sensor on and off.
Well, there's nothing moving in front of the sensor. It's just turning off and on the sensor, I believe.
Well, right. Mechanical is a shutter.
Yeah,
but
so there's
doesn't the Canon have a cover of some kind?
Well, yeah. See, Canon has an anti-spit hair and garbage to fall on your lens cover.
Okay.
The moment you take a lens off, this thing comes down and closes off the opening. So
that's really smart.
Yeah. Well, remember all the Sonys, because they were the first one in. I mean, we were getting Sony people every 2-3 weeks come in to have Harvey clean their sensor.
Yeah.
And that's one of the drawbacks I do believe to the mirrorless is that you don't have the mirror to protect the sensor.
Yeah.
But still, 20 frames per second. I don't know what you would do and how you would process that. ISO. They got it up to 51,200. I don't know what's your ISOs, you guys, with your 5D3s.
I've shot 24,000 and it looks great. No noise, you know.
And Ron, what do you have you boosted your ISO up?
I did one time when we were down in Red Bluff in the evening. I put it all the way up. It's pretty noisy at all that.
I would imagine. Okay. I only put the shutter speed in this one because of the R6 coming up. Of course, you're going to get 1/8,000th of a second. And you don't get 30 seconds when you get electronic shutter. You only get half a second for some reason. Okay, and this is where this little baby shines. Can you imagine 1.5 inch EVF with 5.76 million dots? And it's a OLED, just like on the 11 series phone and LG TVs. Phenomenal EVF. Okay, and this is another, and everybody's been clamoring for it, and they got it, which is the IBIS in-body stabilization. Harvey was always belly aching with his R about his IBIS, no IBIS, and some of the people were wondering how come. Well, now with the Canon and even with the old lenses, it uses the five stop IBIS, or not 5-stop. Yeah, it's about 5 stops in the IBIS, and it uses your lens also, which is interesting because Sony turns off the stabilization of the lens if you have it turned on the body. So this uses both. And from what I've heard, It is amazing. And we'll talk about that with the lens coming up. Dual pixel, definitely right now the king of focus points. 1053 almost across the whole screen. Subject tracking, they have eye detection. I think they call eye AI. And not only does it do people, but it will do animals and birds, and it is pretty amazing. 2 card slots, everybody, 2 card slots. That was the thing. And
And
the Z,
how
the
much
Z's,
is the new card?
I don't know. And it'll take the CF Express, which is really expensive and fast, and the SD. So I'm not sure. And
it doesn't take an old CF, right?
oh yeah, no, it'll take an old CF. It's just you wouldn't want to do that, okay? Because at 45 megs per picture, if you have a slow read-write speed.
Well, I have fast CF, but you know they didn't come free. There's some investment in those cards.
Oh, CFs. Oh yeah, yeah, I have. I've ceased buying CFs years ago. Okay, and then what's interesting, it'll do 8K 30 frame video, which I can't even understand how the size of the file and what kind of computer you would have to work with that. And it will have overheating. And any of them, it doesn't matter what camera it is, when you're shooting 4K or 8K, you're going to start having overheating. There is a work around it, just like they do with the Sony, and that's hooking it up to Atmos and then to a computer, and you can get 4 hours without any overheating at 4K. And now its sibling, the R6, which I think is kind of a 6D on steroids. Price and the steroids showing the price at $2,500 because of the 6D. I can't remember, 1,600 or something to that ballpark. It's just
Mark
released.
II.
Yeah, 6D Mark II. Yeah. It's showing my age. It just has been released. I don't know if anybody's actually gotten a hold of one. Okay, so here's what they did. They still have a full frame. It has a 20 meg sensor, which is identical to the 1DX Mark III.
Wow.
It is the 1DX Mark III sensor. And this camera, from what it appears, is mainly going to be an action camera or a wedding that there's a lot of photos going on. When I did finally open up the R photos that were 30 megabyte, I noticed the extreme slow in processing everything.
Or for people who don't want to buy a new computer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I don't even, I'm sure. But anyhow, the beauty of this one is, and I'm kind of torn because I like sports, and I don't think I want to be shooting 45 megapixels on,
That's too big.
or birds, 18 shots of birds.
But you could shoot. Is this what's the frame rate? Not the frame rate. What's the video? Is it 8K or 4K?
Well, we'll get to that on this one.
Okay, I'll ask the question when you get there.
Yep. Okay, RF mount, of course, 12 frames per second mechanical, which is interesting. Okay, Canon has done something that they normally don't do. They gave a lesser priced camera almost everything that the more expensive camera has. There's a couple features, but it is amazing how they pulled a trick out of the Nikon book. Nikon, you get all these features, the same thing as the top. They don't kind of hold you hostage. And so it's amazing there with this camera. Now, because of the low pixels, you go up to, you double your ISO f-stop up to 102,400. And supposedly this in low light is really exceptional. And if you talk to people with the 1DX Mark III, they say that the low light is amazing. Now, this is why I put in the 1/8,000th of a second. The 6D Mark II, well, the 6D, the 6D Mark II, all were 1/4000th of a second. They finally give you another stop to 1/8000th of a second in this camera. Again, as I said, they're stepping up their game finally. Now, 1/2-inch EVF, little less dots, and these dots are pretty equal to the Z, I believe, the Nikon Zs. Again, the same IBIS, giving you 8 stops. They didn't short you out and give you only 7. Dual pixel focus, same focusing system. And eye tracking. This, they gave you dual SD cards. They didn't throw in a CFast, which is kind of amazing, but yet, why would you need one with 20 megapixel? They probably felt it wasn't needed. And then it will do UHD 4K at 60 frames per second, and after 20 minutes overheat.
So the advantage of 8K or 4K over 1080 is that you can actually pull decent stills off of 4K and 8K. So if you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, you want to video something, but you also want pictures, you can potentially pull beautiful still images off of 8K and reasonable, I think up to 8x10s off of 4K.
Wow.
So Ron, have you ever tried to pull a single frame off of a 4K video?
Not yet.
No.
Might try that for the next time we get together and chit chat.
Yeah, I noticed though, I went up by Hat Creek Subway Caves last week, and it makes 4-minute 4K files. It doesn't go bigger than that.
Oh, okay. All right. So that might be.
Starts a new file.
Is that a card space issue or a card speed issue?
I'm not sure why it does that, but it just starts a new file. But it's,
Ron, on your 5D, are you talking about?
I'm talking about my drone.
Oh yeah.
I can do 4K video, and that's what I was doing. I got. So I have 4K video, so I'll try it after we're done, Frank, and pull in a still.
Yeah, just pull a still and see what you can do with it.
Yeah, the also, now that I've been playing around and getting into video, the advantage of 4K and even 8K or 6K is that you can resize the image. You can even zoom in. And so you can crop without losing much in your video, which is really handy. So there's definite advantages to it. Okay, so let's go into the RF, the 2 new RF lenses that we all thought were a joke, just like I thought the Nikon 200, 500, f5.6 at $13.99 couldn't be a real lens, and it turned out to be a phenomenal deal, one of the better deals out there. $13.99 was for the Nikon 200, 500, 5.6. Excellent lens. Okay, so they come in 600, 800 millimeter fixed f11. Okay, so as I've been reading, you need to know about that and your exposure triangle, and that it is not going to work in low light situations at all. Your ISO is going to go up through the moon, or your shutter speed's going to be slow that when you're shooting 600 or 800 millimeters, it would have shake even with the image stabilization. But in decent light, it is amazing. Okay, the 800 is $200 more, and the argument here is, or the problem is, would you get the 600, which is a little easier to use because things can be a little closer, but yet would you get the 800 so you could get things further away? But it's easy if you've ever shot with an 800, they get too close and you can't do anything.
Since I don't shoot birds, I wouldn't get either one.
Boy, you put that 800 on a crop sensor. Wow.
Yeah, but it's not going to be F11 either. There's going to be like
no,
those are full frame though.
Yeah. And well, what's amazing is these new cameras, the R's, focus at F11. Autofocus. I think the guy even said it's slow, but it will autofocus at F22, which is amazing.
So you can't use these lenses on an older Canon.
No, there are lenses.
Yeah.
If you look at it, you know, it's got the huge opening, the RF.
They're all full frame. Okay.
Yeah, and the 600s minimal focus distance is almost 15 feet, which is long. I mean, that's pretty far, and almost 20 feet for the 800. So that's why I'm saying if you ever used the 800 and with this, you'll realize if you're doing sports or whatever, you have to have them across the field doing a touchdown at the other end of the field. And when they get to the 50-yard line, they're already filling the whole screen.
At F11, those aren't really sports lenses, are they?
No.
Middle of the day.
Even middle of the day, that seems like.
Oh yeah, no, it's tricky. Autofocus, 4-stop image, 4 stops. So you're getting your 8 to now maybe even 9, and it is amazing. I saw is it Chelsea and whoever, her and her husband that do the Canon, they were comparing and all, and they were just amazed at the resolution that the quality you can get. And you do need slower shutter speeds because of the F11. But let's put it in context. To get an 800 millimeter Canon is only about $13,000.
Yeah, but I think you'd be better off with a 150 to 600 Tamron or Sigma lens. Any one of those two would outperform this, it would seem to me.
Okay, that would be interesting. That would be interesting to test. And when you zoom out with those are f6.3s. So yeah, you're gaining what, a stop and a half off of the lens. But it would be interesting. And they're brand new, so time will tell. Now, another advantage to it, and they were saying, is the 600 only weighs 2 pounds.
Wow.
2 pounds. And
why would you? I thought it was a fixed.
It is, but it reduces the size so it'll fit in your bag.
Oh, it's sort of like the Nikon 18 to 55 AFS lens. It's got a little button that you have to short lens.
When it's short, you can't shoot with it.
Yeah, and this has a collar that does the same thing and tells you that you need to retract the lens and then tighten the collar.
Right.
But an 800 millimeter lens at little over 2.5 pounds. So
how long is that one? When it's
4 to 14 inches.
But does it retract too?
Yeah, it goes to 4 inch. I can't believe.
Oh. 4
okay.
inch wide by 13.8 inch, 13.8.
Okay, so you don't think that that's extended then, huh?
No.
Okay, so it's probably take it back then, 10 inches before extension and 13 before. So they would get a little long, but that's the whole purpose of them, why they retracted them, which takes more effort. But then they're targeting this to, you know, the advanced beginner, lower, not even advanced, the intermediate, and someone that can carry it around all day. So
yeah, this is a Jane Love lens.
Oh yeah, Jane Dysart lens. Yeah, actually she would at 800, but the F11, you know, kind of disturbing. But again, you look at the price point. It would be fun to play with some and see.
Well,
Yeah, render.
If the ISO is nice and clean, you can bump that way up then.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it for me jabbering, and now Frank's turn to talk about Nikon.
Do I have to?
Did it cut? Did the screen go off?
But he's in hostile territory here.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you, I would, if I had the money, I would probably get a Nikon. I am totally blown away when I sold Jane Dysart the D5600. The work that she's doing with it is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it is, and I have to, you know, kudos to her. She's out there every single day shooting, and she gets amazing stuff. She's not shooting in RAW. She shoots JPEG. She doesn't modify the images in any way, shape, or form that I'm aware of. But she's out there shooting, and
another one like Lisa, no RAW.
Right, exactly. She just shoots and she gets wonderful stuff. I mean, kudos to her for, you know, the work that she does.
Well,
and the that she gets.
Well, what I'm talking about, Frank, is I've seen her images and I play with her images. The dynamic range, the colors, the pop, the clarity. I mean, it's just totally amazing, especially for you know, an upper beginner camera.
Right. Okay, so Nikon wise, real quick and short, because we're also getting down to, it's 10:56, so we were only supposed to run about an hour.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so the new camera is the Z50 or the Z5. I think it's a Z5. And these are all mirrorless cameras from Nikon, the Z7, the Z6, the Z5, and then the APS sensor Z50. You can see on the screen here that the Z50 is only $859. It's a 20.9 megapixel sensor, which is effectively the same sensor that's in the D500. That's the same.
You mean 5600?
No, in the D500.
Oh, in the D500.
Right.
So that's your.
If I was going to switch over to a mirrorless camera and switched over, this would be the sensor that, you know, that I would have if I just wanted to have a mirrorless camera for cheap. 20.9 megapixel sensor. It's 4K. You know, it's got all the same features and same basic frame rate as the D500. So it's their top of the line mirrorless APS-C sensor. So for somebody, you know, that I mean, you know, D500 is $13.99. It's about the same price as a Z5, and you know, my D500 does an amazing job considering I'm not full frame, but I wanted that extra reach to be able to photograph bears and wild animals that are far off. And so far, I haven't had my 200 to 500 with me when I saw the bear. So I only shot it with a 70 to 300 lens because I didn't want to carry that big ass lens with me where I was hiking with Frank Cradfield. But if you're thinking about a new mirrorless camera from Nikon, and you look at this at the ramp up here, their high-end Z7 is only $2,800, and it's 46 megapixels. It's only 4K, not 8K. It only goes to 25,600 ISO, where the Z6 goes to 51. My D500 goes to 51. It's only 9 frames per second versus 12 in the Z6. But they all now, and for people who earlier had the Z7 or the Z6, they had a firmware upgrade that gave them eye autofocus for people and animals. So now that's a standard for all of the models. And I'll have to tell you that.
Oh,
what?
I have a quick question for
Yeah,
Wayne. I see that these have the tilting touchscreen. Do the Canons have that?
Canon, oh yeah. Yeah, they've got articulating, fully
Okay, all right.
articulating,
Yeah.
I'm almost 100%.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy another camera that I can't put on the ground and be above it. I don't want to have to try to lay on the
Oh
ground.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's worth its weight in gold. Frank Pratafil and I were out together. He shoots the D810, and I'm shooting my D500, and trying to, set everything up on his sensor while it's pointing up at the comet. And his screen is not articulating, and mine was. Mine's super simple and easy. It doesn't matter where I have my camera, and it's a kind of a struggle with a D810. So there's definitely, that's a standard now. That's going to be a standard on all the cameras.
Oh, I should buy one of those, the Z50.
Yeah, APS. I mean, for $859, you basically have my D500.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to go look at some of the other features between the two, but it outperforms it. Just looking at the information on the Z50, it's going to outperform my D500. So anybody that was starting off and wanted to have something similar to what I shoot, a Z50 for $859 and a 200 to 500 for, on sale, you could probably get it for $1,200. You got yourself a system for just around $2,000. That's an amazing package if you think about it.
Oh, that Z50 would be great for traveling. And just
lightweight,
cheaper camera.
Well, see, this is where I have the bone with Canon and in opening up when we were talking. Why Canon hasn't done something similar to the Z50?
Yeah, I think Nikon's got it, down pretty well. And, the only issue I have is, how many lenses are available, and Nikon's lagging behind Sony at the moment. But if I were to bring up the Sony list of cameras, the prices are much higher.
Oh yeah.
So, their features are better in some instances. Their features are better, but the reality is that you're going to spend a lot more money on a Sony system than you are on a Nikon. I'd lean towards Nikon before I'd buy a Sony at the moment. And and firmware upgrades are coming out. The thing that surprised me is that their firmware upgrades are coming out like every 3 months. There's a firmware upgrade that's adding a feature or fixing something that wasn't working right. But that eye focus for people and animals didn't exist, a year ago. And now it does, and it's a standard feature. So I would definitely, if I was a Nikon shooter thinking about a mirrorless camera, Sony versus Nikon, it's a Sony sensor. The sensors in these cameras are made by Sony, or they're made for Nikon by Sony. So they have some feature sets that are, better or at least equal to what Sony has out there. And have you seen Sony's new camera? Did you know that Sony
Which
came
one?
out with, they've got a brand new camera they just announced. It's only 12 megapixel.
Yeah, that's and I was going to briefly talk about that. That's the A7RS.
A7S, yeah, A7S.
Yeah, 7S3 and 12 megapixel, and it is not a photographer's camera. It is basically a videographer's camera. They set it up, and people say do not think you're going to get a landscape or anything because there's going to be no detail. But as Ty says, in video, the megapixel count really doesn't matter. And
or as much anyway.
Yeah, or as much. And okay, so a couple things I'd like to point out that in doing my research on the Nikons, and they were saying that the Z5 is an excellent camera and good price point, but for a couple hundred more dollars, well, $400 more, the Z6 in every aspect, almost every aspect, outdoes the Z5.
Yeah.
And they were saying that, and I don't remember and didn't write it down, but all the advantages to the Z6 were amazing. The Z5, and at the price point, $1,400 for a full frame, you know, is an excellent deal. And so, you know, of course, if prices is really the main thing, then the Z5. But if you're thinking and you want, you know, a full frame mirrorless Nikon, you might also consider the Z6.
Yeah.
And my 2 cents worth.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wouldn't, you know, for, like you said, for just a few $100 more, the Z6 is going to outperform it, even though it's basically a similar sensor, still has the 4K and the same focus points and the same ISO. And then you jump to 12 frames per second. Right there is your reason for spending
for
$400 more.
the 12 frames per second, but also I believe the Z5 only goes to 1/4000th of a second, not 1/8000th. So you lose a whole stop right there.
Yeah.
There's all these little things, but you know, price is important and price point, and I believe that's really close to the Canon mirrorless RP. You know, the $1399. Which again, if you can afford it, you know, you want to jump up.
So maybe that's one of the things that we'll need to do when we do another tech talk like this, is let's compare 2 cameras side by side that are in the same price point, one from Canon, one from Nikon. And let's say, you know, the Z5 coins $1399. What does Canon have at a similar price point?
Okay, I agree with that, except for one thing. We probably shouldn't alienate Sony, you know, because we can
throw some, I mean, I'm just saying, if we're going to do a comparison, you know, one of the things we can do a comparison on is a Sony versus a Canon versus a Nikon for $1 price point, including a lens, a decent lens like a 24-70 or 200 to 500 or something like that.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And I think that would be neat. That would be, we could each pick an area, you know, and then have 3 cameras that we look
argue
into.
Argue the point, yeah. Argue the point, exactly.
It's an amazing world that we live in, though. If you were to think that you could get, you know, these cameras at these price points for what they can do, it's just staggering. So there you go, the D6, huh?
Just to finish up on the Nikon line, this is the DSLRs, the non-mirrorless cameras. The D850 is still $3,000. I think it started out at $32.99.
Yeah.
Now it's $29. And of course, when we come to Christmas this year, I think all of the manufacturers are going to put on some decent rebates to try and get people to buy, because I don't think that they've been really, with this whole coronavirus thing going on, I don't think a lot of people have been buying camera equipment. So
no.
So somewhere.
Okay, so the D6, so that's their replacement for the D4, 5, and now the 6.
Yeah, the D6 replaces the D5, and that's the D7. Okay, so we got all 3 of them together. So this is all 3 of them together, and right away you can see that, you know, there's a, you know, $3,000 versus $23. So there's a $700 difference between the 780 and the D850. And the D850 is now, it's not long in the tooth, but it's starting to get long in the tooth. It's been around for 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah, it's still got a kick-ass sensor.
Yeah, it's still got the biggest sensor in the world. Your D6 is 20.8 million. The D780 is 24.5, and then the D850 is 45.7. You know, so it surprises me that their top of the line camera is only 20.8 million pixels, but It doesn't
Again,
surprise me.
that's a sports camera. That
Yeah.
that has one feature, and sports and the action camera for your weddings. And again, you don't want a lot of pixels because when you go through, you know, how many frames a second will it do? That's a lot of information.
Yeah, I don't see it. Well, maybe we'll come up on it here in a minute. Card slots, the D6 has got CF Express and XQD. I have XQD. It's almost all I use. In fact, my video, my video is the only thing that goes to my SD card. I have a fast SD card that records my video, and all my still images goes to my XQD card. I have forget what the size of the card is. Dual slot. It's in the sensor here. It's 128 megabytes, and I've been shooting the last 3 months on this card, and I'm just now getting down to under 1,000 pictures, and I've been shooting for 3 months. So 128 gigabyte card goes a long way.
Wow.
And it's super fast. But my video all goes to a rugged 128 SD card. I got a ProMaster. That's the only ProMaster product I have in my house right there. But
well,
all my video goes to that card, and all my stills goes to the XQD card. But it shoots 10 frames per second. So everything, the card slots, one XQD, one secure. So everything's dual card. Viewfinder coverage is not that big a deal. High points, exposure compensation, picture controls. ISO, okay, so 102,400 on the D6, 51,000 on the D780, and only 25,600 on the D850.
Okay, so back to that, the D6. Notice the similarity, 20 megapixel frame, and way up there in the ISO, just like the R6.
Yeah, yeah. That'll let them shoot stuff that they don't need any light for. I mean, that's basically. I don't think there's anything else here that's. Oh, movie mode. The D6 is only 4K. It doesn't go to 8K. So Canon's got a leg up there.
Yeah, I don't think many have a actual 8K. Sony has some 6K downsampled.
Yeah, Panasonic is the only one that I'm aware of that's got 8K, and they've had it for a while.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know about 8K yet.
Well, again, the advantage clearly is there's your resolutions on the monitor.
Well, hasn't Canon usually been ahead of the pack on video?
Yeah, yeah. That's because they have such a strong video camera line as well, where Nikon doesn't have, any at all video line. They used to. When I went to work for Crown back in 1990, Nikon had camcorders, but they were Sony camcorders that were renamed put under the Nikon name.
Though it took Canon a long time to get 4K, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So it took. I remember when Sony. I think what happened is Nikon had a 10-year contract with Sony camcorders. So they were putting out all kinds of Sony camcorders under the Nikon name for 10 years. And at the end of 10 years, Sony came knocking on our door and said, now you need to be a Sony dealer. And we were just too small to really make that transition. And so we gave up selling camcorders. Well, actually, we sold Sony camcorders for 2 years only. And in that 2-year time period, the Sony, to be a Sony video dealership, it kept doubling the number of dollars that you had to do until we were priced out. And then we couldn't do it anymore. And then right after that, right after the Sony video deal, we were no longer a Sony dealer. Sony came out with digital cameras. So we were out of luck there. But anyway, that's kind of the That's interesting.
When you're done with the Nikon stuff.
Okay. I can be done with Nikon now.
Isn't this technology though amazing? We can sit here and share.
Does anybody?
You know, as if we're right here.
Does anybody create videos on YouTube?
Yeah,
I
I
have
have a little.
Besides me.
I have some. Did you guys, Ron and Dwayne, did you see my Comet video?
No.
You know, I tried to watch it at the ranch and wouldn't work. And so then I forgot about it.
It's not really great. I mean, you should just go and watch it and actually listen to it. The only reason I posted it at all is because I actually recorded the video. The video is from Jelly's Ferry Road, and the original audio you can actually hear the river below, but the audio that's playing on it is from Whitmore Road. It's the coyotes. So as I'm recording the Comet actually on Whitmore Road, there's a half a dozen coyotes that start yipping and yapping right across the street. I mean, I literally crapped my pants. They were so close and so loud that, I jumped, because they were so loud. I mean, they literally were right across the street, and I couldn't get to the camera fast enough to record the video, but I ended up recording video. And of course, when you record video, you get audio. So then I took the audio from that and added it to the audio from the Comet from the other and put them together, and it worked out great. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what's so amazing, studying video and how you can do that. And this guy that I was studying under said, hey, sometimes just run your camera. It doesn't matter that you're not taking video, but when you hear sounds, the coyotes, the crickets, any kind of sound, because sound in video is what gives you the emotion.
Right.
And all of a sudden, yippee-yi-yay with the coyotes in the background, probably everybody's hair stands up.
Yeah, I've got over 300 views on that already. Just on that one little video. It was 281 like two or 3 days ago. So I'm pretty sure that's 300 views by now.
Now was it on YouTube or is that on Facebook?
That went right to Facebook. I didn't post it on YouTube.
Thanks everybody for joining. Next time it'll even be better. Hopefully we'll be able to compare some of these new cameras, Nikon, Canon, and Sony. So come on back.
Peace out.
And thank you, Frank and Ron, for your knowledge, and have a good day.